The city lord's hall was spacious and bright inside, and on the wooden table in front of them sat an incense burner, emitting waves of fragrance. The blue curtains were drawn, blocking out the glare of the afternoon sun. The bandit leader's head had already been taken away by the guards, and Fang Hao and Manhwa were waiting here for the arrival of City Lord Prul. They sat there and waited for 20 minutes. Fang Hao looked at the Lord's book to pass the time, but Manhwa was getting a little restless. She muttered to herself on the side, cursing that the city lord here was taking himself too seriously, and that she would bring the bone dragon over tomorrow and tear his house down. Tap, tap, tap. As a series of footsteps sounded, the scraping of armor came from the corridor beside them, growing clearer. Immediately after, a man in a blue embroidered robe, accompanied by 2 guards, walked in. The man appeared to be close to 50 years old, his hair slicked back, his thick beard neatly trimmed, his brow slightly furrowed, yet his eyes were also sizing up the 2 young people sitting in the hall. This was the city lord of Pearl City. Cyril. Heavy arrow. Cyril, blue tier 5 hero. As soon as Cyril entered the door, a smile appeared on his lips, and he said kindly, "So, these 2 young people are the heroes who killed the bandit leader?" "Yes, city lord, these 2 brought the head," the guard beside him replied. During the 20 minutes that Fang Hao and Manhwa waited, the city lord's confidants went to the residence of the cloth merchant Tavik and the tavern to inquire about Fang Hao and Manhwa's identities from Tavik and his young daughter. They learned that Fang Hao possessed a large army and the command of the army. Although the young daughter's eyes were covered at the time, her ears could still hear a lot of information at the same time. Tavik also offered some of his own guesses. For example, Fang Hao might be the young master of a prominent family who could open a factory out of interest and mobilize a large number of people from within the family. There was similar news from the tavern, where he spent 1,000 gold to buy a short sword that was just for looks. All these pieces of intelligence led Cyril to also speculate that he was a young master from a prominent family. Therefore, the first sentence at the beginning had the usual flattering rhetoric used between nobles. "City lord." Fang Hao stood up with a smile out of politeness. Manhwa glanced at him and also stood up somewhat reluctantly. "Haha, good, good. Please sit, don't be so polite." Cyril nodded with satisfaction and sat down in the main seat. Fang Hao also sat back down. Accordingly, servants brought wine and some local pastries that Fang Hao had never seen before. They should be specialties of Pearl City. "My name is Cyril. I am the city lord here. How should I address the 2 of you?" Cyril asked, pretending not to know. "Fang Hao, this is my guard, Manhwa." Fang Hao introduced himself. "Oh, then Mr. Fang Hao, can you tell me how you learned about the bandits and how you wiped them out?" Cyril leaned forward slightly, looking like he was ready to listen to a story. Fang Hao smiled slightly. Making up a story was not difficult. "May I ask if the city lord knows Mr. Tavik?" "I know, the cloth merchant in the city. How is this matter related to him?" "The day before yesterday, I was adventuring in the mountain forest with my family's team and accidentally rescued Mr. Tavik's young daughter. After returning the young daughter to Mr. Tavik, I went to the tavern for a short while. I saw the bounty on the notice board in the tavern. So I took my soldiers. I don't know which village those bandits looted, but they had just returned to their camp when my people completely wiped them out, and the heads were sent here to you. When telling a story, half-truth and half-false is the most believable. Including some people or things that the other party is familiar with in the middle will make your story more credible." Tavik. The tavern's bounty order. Regardless of whether the other party knew Fang Hao before, once these 2 things were mentioned, the credibility of the story would greatly increase. After listening to Fang Hao's story, Cyril picked up his wine glass and took a sip. His eyes, however, kept glancing at Fang Hao and Manhwa. The story was complete and highly credible, and at the same time, he confirmed that Fang Hao had backing. The bounty in the tavern was only for the residents to see. 1,000 gold was not enough money to mobilize an army to suppress the bandits. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been hanging there for so long that he accepted it and succeeded. That it seems his family is also looking for opportunities to train this young master. Money is a small matter. City Lord? Lord Cyril. Fang Hao saw the other party holding his wine glass and staring blankly. So he called out softly twice. He thought to himself, could this old man have some kind of illness? Why is he staring blankly? Oh, I understand. Cyril turned around and said to the guard beside him, "Bring the bounty." "Yes, city lord." A guard withdrew to retrieve the bounty. "By the way, Mr. Fang Hao, which city do you live in? What does your family do?" Cyril inquired as if making small talk. Fang Hao replied, making things up completely, setting his city in the northwest of Pearl City and saying his family did some miscellaneous goods business. The two chatted for a while, and Fang Hao's gaze fell on a weapon in the display cabinet in the hall. The it was a rapier. The blade and hilt were snow white, dazzlingly bright. Fang Hao had noticed it early on. "Lord Cyril, this weapon is beautifully crafted." Fang Hao stood up and walked naturally to the rapier. "Of course, it's beautiful. It's a nice collectible," Cyril said. "May I?" Fang Hao asked if he could pick it up and look at it. "Please do." Fang Hao held the hilt with one hand and gently supported the blade with the other. Taking the rapier into his hands. Absolution rapier, purple, type, rapier damage, tier 3 damage, description, a rapier that killed its owner. Legend has it that anyone who obtains this rapier will walk towards death in pain. It was indeed absolution. The information from the storyteller in the tavern last time was correct. The city lord did have a sword of absolution. The charm of this sword is not in its appearance, but in the story behind it. Cyril also walked over and stood beside Fang Hao. Fang Hao found it awkward to say that he had heard the story, so he could only ask, "Oh? What story?" "There are a total of 12 swords with the same craftsmanship, and their owners were once a very famous countess," Cyril narrated beside him, telling a story similar to that of the tavern storyteller. Although there were some differences, the overall direction was still the same. Clang. At this moment, the guard who went to retrieve the bounty returned again, holding a wooden box containing 1,000 shining gold coins of the human race. "City lord, the bounty has been retrieved," the guard said. Cyril looked at Fang Hao. "This is the bounty. Count it." Fang Hao simply took the gold coins and did not count the amount. His gaze remained on the rapier, and he directly asked, "I really like this rapier. I wonder if Lord Cyril would be willing to part with it?" "Of course, the price is negotiable. The Sword of Atonement brings misfortune to its owner. This rumor has been around for a long time, but there are still many people who don't believe it. How much disaster can a beautifully crafted work of art bring?" Cyril was one of them. He was a city lord and a hero. In his dictionary, only weakness and smallness brought misfortune, but as he aged, he began to realize another problem. Besides being bullied for being weak, illness can also bring misfortune. His only son had recently contracted a strange disease, gradually losing weight, but he had not yet found a good solution. This prompted him to hand over the management of the city to his subordinates, while he searched for a way to cure his son's illness. Today, when Fang Hao asked about the Sword of Atonement, he remembered the rumor again at the same time. He thought of his son. "You like this sword? Aren't you afraid it will bring you misfortune?" Cyril asked curiously. "Oh, I'm giving it away. It shouldn't count on me after I pass it on," Fang Hao said directly. He also saw the description of misfortune in the attributes. If it were normal, even if he didn't believe these things, he wouldn't touch this taboo. But he was just completing Xiao Yu's task. After buying it, he would hand it over to Xiao Yu. What did misfortune have to do with him? Besides, Xiao Yu was a ghost, and the sword itself was her mission, so there was no such thing as misfortune. Cyril was slightly taken aback. Was he going to give it to his enemy? "How much are you going to offer?" Cyril asked the price directly, really wanting to sell it. Fang Hao pushed the money box that had just been delivered forward. "Just this 1,000 gold coins. I didn't bring extra money this time. What do you think, Lord City Lord?" Cyril didn't answer immediately, but his fingers rhythmically tapped on the back of the chair with the exquisite craftsmanship of this rapier. 1,000 gold coins would definitely not be enough. If it were placed in some large trading houses, it might sell for a higher price. But the question is, who would want to buy it? His son was sick again, and he was thinking about selling it for about that much. "Okay, it's yours," Cyril said directly. Lord Cyril is so straightforward. Fang Hao also breathed a sigh of relief. He had exchanged a mission item for the lives of bandits. The two of them were even. But Fang Hao was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he looked at Cyril again and said, "Lord Cyril, I wonder what procedures are required to open a shop in Pearl City." "Open a shop? What kind of shop?" Cyril asked curiously. A restaurant, or to buy some civilian utensils. Fang Hao replied. Weapons and equipment are not easy to open a shop in the city. Those are sold to official forces in various places. And no one will allow the residents of their city to buy knives, guns, swords, and crossbows at will, disrupting the order of the city. This is not a game where players can buy and sell equipment when they enter the city. That's no problem. When you plan to open a shop, just report it to the city lord's mansion, Cyril replied. Okay, then thank you, Lord City Lord. Fang Hao thanked him. Today's goal had been achieved. After chatting with Cyril for a while as a transition, he got up and left the city lord's mansion. He went to the tavern to confirm that there were no new maps, and then left Pearl City directly. Outside the city, the giant lizard was still lying there, monopolizing a stable that a large crowd of people gathered around from a distance. Pointing at the giant lizard, some naughty children picked up stones and wanted to tease it, but they were stopped by adults and slapped heavily on the buttocks. Fang Hao walked over and gently patted the giant lizard's body. Get up, it's time to go home. The giant lizard opened its eyes and moved its body. It lay down again, making it easier for Fang Hao and Njia to ride on it, under the gaze of many residents. The giant lizard quickly ran, stirring up dust along the way. Returned to the territory. Fang Hao jumped off the lizard, gently patted the giant lizard's neck, and the giant lizard consciously headed towards its residence. That a vehicle that can automatically park is the dream of many people. As soon as Njia came down, she clamored that she was hungry and went to find Ear. Fang Hao took the rapier he had just bought and went to Xiao Yu's residence again. This time, before he could knock on the door, it had already opened. Lord, Xiao Yu saluted. Well, didn't you rest during the day? Fang Hao said, sitting down to the side. Xiao Yu usually goes out during the night and comes back before dawn, wandering around the territory or going to farther places. With Xiao Yu's ability, there were not many places where she could help Fang Hao. So since the last time she investigated the news of Skull Crusher, he had not assigned her any tasks. Not yet, Xiao Yu said. By the way, I got another sword of atonement this time, so I'll give it to you. Fang Hao took out the sword of atonement and handed it to Xiao Yu. As soon as the latter took it, the light shone from Xiao Yu's body again. Her rank increased again. Ghost, Xiao Yu, rank 7. The last time she got the atonement short sword, she went from rank 3 to rank 5. This time, she went from rank 5 to rank 7. If this continues, if she collects all 12, wouldn't Xiao Yu directly become a hero? And maybe even a hero with a very high template? How is it? Xiao Yu, is everything okay? Fang Hao asked the dazed Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu turned around and said softly, Lord, I'm fine. I just saw some pictures again, which may be related to my past. Fang Hao was also a little curious. He asked, Is it convenient to say what you saw? It's very fragmented. I saw myself participating in a sword competition, saw myself wearing the attire of the Holy See, and delivering babies for pregnant women. It was very chaotic. Xiao Yu recalled the scene just now, saying, sword competition, and delivering babies. The former Xiao Yu seemed to know a lot. Don't take it too seriously, and don't let these things disturb your current life. Fang Hao got up and instructed. Collecting 12 swords of atonement is a task in Xiao Yu's attributes, and it will continue. Becoming a hero is also a good thing for Xiao Yu. She can live a better life, instead of just being a low-level undead ghost. Therefore, while collecting mission items, you must maintain your mentality and not have any problems. I understand, Lord. Don't worry. Xiao Yu placed the rapier in the cabinet and saluted again. Fang Hao nodded and returned to the Lord's mansion to eat. Returning to the Lord's mansion, Ear had already prepared dinner, fruit wine, steaks, and a pizza-like food with vegetables and minced meat inside. Tasted pretty good, even without side dishes. This pizza can be used as dinner. Ear, how is the hot pot-based thing going? Fang Hao asked while eating. Master, I have already taught the method to the other 2 maids. When the time comes, the 3 of us will make the sauce together, which will be faster, Ear replied. In fact, Ear still didn't quite understand Fang Hao's thoughts. Even if you like this sauce, you don't have to make so much, right? Well, when the sauce is ready, I plan to open a restaurant in Pearl City for humans, a hot pot restaurant. It will definitely be very popular at that time, Fang Hao said. Oh, so that's why you asked that old man about opening a shop today? and Jia suddenly realized, with an expression of discovering your secret. Opening a hot pot restaurant was an idea that Fang Hao came up with yesterday. If you want to talk about what is most convenient and addictive to eat, it is hot pot. Moreover, it is convenient to make. You don't need a chef with superb cooking skills. You only need to prepare the base, and then throw it into the pot on that table. Then arrange a few bunny maids and fox maids. And it will definitely be 100% popular. Will the people of Pearl City also use chopsticks? Ear asked softly while chewing on the steak. Damn. It seems they don't. Of course, you need chopsticks to eat hot pot. If you pick it up with your hands, then you don't need to order meat. It doesn't matter. You can make some training chopsticks, the same way as using clips. And you will know when the time comes. Fang Hao suddenly thought. There is a kind of training chopsticks used by children, which are connected above and can be used very simply, just like using clips. After using it twice, you will completely know how. If that's the case, there shouldn't be any problem, Ear nodded, her two rabbit ears fluttering slightly. Fang Hao also felt that there was no problem. Simple base, good taste, plus 2 barrels of troll brewing barrel transported over. The cost is not high. Once successful, the income will be considerable. I don't think there will be any problems. Even if the hot pot restaurant really doesn't work at that time, and it can't be opened, you can change the store into a grocery store, selling bathtubs, agricultural tools, or some other supplies. Anyway, you can't lose out anyway. Well, if you do well, open a chain store in each city in the future, called Ear Hot Pot Restaurant. Fang Hao said directly to Ear's face instantly turned red, and she hurriedly said, No. How can you name a store after your name? Then combine the characteristics of our city and call it Bone Hot Pot Restaurant, or Undead Hot Pot Restaurant. Fang Hao frowned, thinking about the name. An Jia complained while eating. Is it for the living? The few people ate and chatted, laughing and joking. At this moment, the system prompt sounded again. Random event. Fool's courage accepted. Lord's book new function activated. Team functioned. The team trial mission will be opened in 10 hours, with a maximum of 3 people forming a team to conduct the trial. This trial is a Lord trial and cannot carry subordinate heroes or soldiers. Team status, maximum 3-person team. Team members will be automatically teleported to the captain's territory to gathered. Event countdown, 9 hours and 59 minutes. Good luck. The appearance of the system prompt made Fang Hao pause his actions. After the mandatory quest ended, many people were analyzing when the event quest would appear. Some said half a month. Others said even longer, but it came earlier than anyone expected. Fang Hao opened the Lord's book, switched to the regional channel, and saw everyone discussing the event quest. Damn, it came so early. Even earlier than the 7-day mandatory quest. What does this quest mean? It doesn't let us bring troops? If we don't bring troops, what do we do? Make me go up and hack away myself. The quest is a trial for the lords. If they let you bring troops in, they might as well give you planes and tanks. Everyone, don't worry, this isn't a mandatory quest. Those who are afraid of danger don't have to participate. It's easy for you to say. If everyone else participates and you don't, the gap between you will grow bigger and bigger, and you'll still end up dead. I am 28 years old, have a green knight's sword and a piece of green armor. Seeking a team to join. 1 green item, graduated as a sports student, excellent stamina. Any brothers want to team up? Which big shot will take me? I'll give a green helmet as a gift afterward. Goddamn green helmet. Who would dare take you if you talk like that? After a brief discussion, most people started posting team-up requests, planning to find reliable teammates. Fang Hao also felt uneasy that it could be said that 80% of his territory's current strength relied on the heroes and the skeleton army. Without these two, his meager strength would have likely led to his death the first day he encountered the wolf pack. This trial quest could be said to be very unfriendly. It actually didn't allow lords to bring troops, but was a trial of their own strength. While he was thinking, the Lord's book suddenly sent a new message. Blueprint unlocked. Caravan cart crafting blueprint, green. A new blueprint was unlocked, and it was a green carriage blueprint. On second thought, Zhongbin must have obtained a new blueprint. The City Lord's book in Zhongbin's hand was a replica of the Lord's book. After he collected a blueprint, it would automatically unlock for Fang Hao as well. However, if Fang Hao collected one, it wouldn't unlock for him. Ding. A private message rang, and Zhang Bin sent a message. Boss, I cleared out some wild boars today and collected a green blueprint. Did you receive it? Seeing this, Zhang Bin was quite diligent, only returning so late. Is it the caravan cart blueprint? Received it. Fang Hao replied. Oh right, boss, are you going to participate in this trial quest? Huh. Zhang Bin also received the quest prompt. That proved this quest wasn't limited to lords, but all transmigrators could participate. Otherwise, Zhang Bin wouldn't have received this system message. You want to participate? Aren't you afraid of danger? Fang Hao replied. Speaking of combat power, Fang Hao could summon attendants, possessed the purple starfire staff, and had complete equipment and skills, so he still had some fighting ability, but it was hard to say for Zhang Bin. With a normal person's physique, frankly, there was no difference from an ordinary villager. Boss, don't you have me? Zhang Bin said. Besides, if we don't participate in this quest, what will happen when others pull ahead? Fang Hao thought about it and realized he was right. This quest definitely wasn't meant for them to collectively die. Otherwise, wouldn't arranging a large-scale monster invasion be much faster than this? There was a high probability that it was meant to allow the transmigrators to improve their own strength if they wanted to participate in this quest. Reliable and capable teammates were also very important. Fang Hao got up, rummaged through the cabinet in the study, and took out the stamina enlightenment potion he had obtained 2 days ago. In the channel. He sent it to Zhang Bin. Stamina enlightenment potion. I'll trade this over in a bit. Use it and get familiar with it tonight. Huh. Is this for drinking or external application? Zhang Bin hesitated slightly. Can you just drink medicine like this? If something happens, there's no doctor here. It's for drinking that it can increase your stamina that you'll understand when the time comes. Fang Hao said. Don't bother. Boss, keep it for yourself. My stamina is pretty good. Really? Zhang Bin explained from the side. It's fine. I drank it too. It strengthens your power. Get familiar with it tonight to prepare for tomorrow's challenge. Fang Hao continued. When he drank the enlightenment potion himself, he was also a bit apprehensive. After asking Nelson, he hesitated for a long time before steeling himself and drinking it. It was normal to have such thoughts, but one cannot always look at the present. By drinking it today, the chance of winning tomorrow is greater. Otherwise, if they encountered any danger in tomorrow's challenge, it would be too late to drink it then. Okay, I understand. Boss, Zhang Bin said again. Fang Hao directly listed the stamina enlightenment potion for designated trade. Zhang Bin casually put up 10 units of wood, and the trade was completed immediately. After the two discussed a couple of things, they hung up the chat. As soon as he hung up the chat, private messages started ringing again one after another. They were all asking about teaming up with Fang Hao, but he refused them one by one. Fang Hao still wanted to cling to a big leg, powerful person. So how could he let them cling to him? Brother Hao, do you want me to take you? A friend notification appeared. It was Dong Jiayue. You're also participating? Are your injuries healed? Fang Hao asked back. Previously, he had obtained a lot of shadow stones from Dong Jiayue to ensure she could continue providing him with shadow stones. Fang Hao had also given her considerable support, from materials and tools to weapons and equipment, and finally, when she was injured, he even gave her his only bottle of life potion. It could be said that their relationship was very good. When the Azure Dragon Chamber of Commerce collectively cursed Fang Hao in the channel, and even threatened everyone who spoke up for Fang Hao, everyone else shut up. Only Dong Jiayue alone cursed back at them in the group. She didn't show any weakness in the end. This cursing battle only stopped after Fang Hao cut off Li Tang's head to some extent. Among the lords, Fang Hao and Dong Jiayue could be said to have a very good relationship, even surpassing the relationship between Fang Hao and Zhang Bin. I'm all better now. I was fine last time when I gave you the shadow stones and the map. Dong Jiayue replied confidently. You're also participating in this trial? It's not mandatory, you don't have to. Fang Hao said. It wasn't looking down on women, but in terms of natural strength, men still had some advantage. This kind of trial was no small matter. If things went wrong, it could cost them their lives. Facing Fang Hao's distrust, Dong Jiayue started rummaging through her cabinet from a satchel she hadn't used for a long time. She dug out a certificate, took a picture, and sent it. This had come with her when she transmigrated. Are you looking down on me? Image. National Women's Wushu Forms Championship champion. Dong Jiayue sent it over. Fang Hao frowned as he looked at it. Forms? Aren't those all fake? What's fake? I'm real, and I'm super good. Dong Jiayue's tone revealed her dissatisfaction. To be honest. Dong Jiayue was indeed quite capable. Fang Hao's growth relied on the hundredfold increase in spawning troops. While Dong Jiayue fought her way up purely through combat, that on the second day after transmigrating. She was probably the only one who dared to take peasants down into a tomb passage. You really want to go? Yes. All right then. That makes 3 of us. The team is full. I'll call you when we team up tomorrow. Okay. The next day, early morning. Fang Hao woke up early from his sleep. Today was the day of the trial. And he couldn't afford to be lazy. After washing up, he found Bloodhunter and Ear and entrusted them with the normal operation of the territory during his absence. The two nodded in agreement, also reminding Fang Hao to be careful. After all, the territory had not yet formally established order, nor was there any concept of royal succession. Everything depended on Fang Hao alone. If something happened to him, the order and balance of the entire territory would instantly collapse. The dining table. Ear, dressed in a black and white maid outfit, brought out the entire breakfast, toasted bread, meat patties, and a bowl of vegetable soup. Master, come back early when you're finished. Ear knelt beside him, ladling the vegetable soup into a bowl and placing it in front of Fang Hao. Fang Hao knew what she was worried about. He gently stroked her large ears and comforted her. Don't worry, it's just some small battles. There won't be any danger. Oh, Ear replied, but she still looked a little worried. After breakfast, Fang Hao began to organize his equipment. A novice mage's robe. His weapons were Starfire and a black Iron Knight's sword, and a lightweight dagger was tucked at his waist. Zhang Bin, you be the captain. Invite me to the party. Fang Hao sent a message. Okay, Zhang Bin replied, and the team invitation was quickly sent over. Zhang Bin has sent you a team invitation. Do you accept? Accept. The Lord's book emitted a ray of light, enveloping Fang Hao's entire body, and he vanished from his original spot. When he opened his eyes again, he had already arrived at Zhang Bin's city, flat ground and busy residents working. Compared to Fang Hao's undead city, this place looked more like a medieval city, full of life. Boss, you're here, Zhang Bin exclaimed, striding over. Zhang Bin looked different from the last time Fang Hao saw him. He was shirtless, revealing tanned skin and bulging muscles. Fang Hao threw the knight's sword and iron armor he was holding aside and asked curiously, "What are you doing, bodybuilding?" No, Zhang Bin scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Last night, he had done a lot of mental preparation, but still gritted his teeth and drank the stamina potion Fang Hao had given him. After a painful period of muscle twisting and soreness, he was surprised to find that he had actually become stronger. He now had chest and abdominal muscles, and he could easily wield a knight's sword. He had been out for his morning exercise shirtless since early morning, taking the opportunity to show off his muscles to the residents. Add Dong Jiayue to the team, Fang Hao said directly. Oh, a girl, boss, is amazing. Zhang Bin never missed an opportunity to flatter. After adding her, a ray of light appeared, and a beautiful figure emerged in front of the two. That the girl was 21 or 22. Wearing orc iron armor, with a blue modern long-sleeved shirt visible from the cuffs. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail, and she stood there so prettily. She held a metal helmet in one hand and a war spear in the other, the spearhead pointing diagonally towards the ground. The girl slowly opened her eyes and met their gazes, and a sharp glint flashed instantly. Wow, could this Dong Jiayue be a martial arts expert? Dong Jiayue scanned the two of them one by one, finally settling on Zhang Bin. It had to be said that the current Zhang Bin was indeed eye-catching. He was completely naked from the waist up, holding a knight's sword and looking majestic. In contrast, Fang Hao was sitting to the side, fanning himself with his hand constantly, like an old man guarding the community gate. Brother Hao, Dong Jiayue walked directly in front of Zhang Bin and called out. Zhang Bin was startled, then quickly reacted. Boss, Miss Dong is looking for you. Zhang Bin stepped aside, realizing she had called the wrong person. Dong Jiayue's face instantly flushed. She walked over to Fang Hao and said uncertainly, Brother Hao? Yes. Fang Hao nodded and then said to Zhang Bin. Zhang Bin, go get her some equipment. We'll be setting off soon. Got it. Dong Jiayue's orc iron armor was something Fang Hao had given her. Although it wasn't bad, no one could be sure what kind of enemies they would face in the upcoming battle. So it was better to change into something better. It would also improve the overall quality of the team. Brother Hao, you're doing well. Dong Jiayue sat down beside him, unsure of what to say to her savior. I'm doing well. Your territory has also been developing quite well, right? Fang Hao asked in return. The two could chat a bit in the channel, but after meeting, they were a little unsure of what to say. They chatted casually for a couple of minutes. Zhang Bin then walked over with iron armor and an iron sword. He had also changed into iron armor, a black iron kite shield, and a black iron knight's sword. Miss Dong, change your equipment. It's almost time. Oh, okay, thank you. Brother Zhang Bin, Dong Jiayue said. You're welcome. This is all bosses too, Zhang Bin explained. Dong Jiayue took off her orc iron armor and put on the better quality plate armor, since she was already wearing clothes underneath. She didn't need to go to a separate room to change. Fang Hao also began to prepare. Waiting for the mission to begin, the three rested for about half an hour. Then a prompt appeared. Historical battle. The predicament of Erlinha mission description. Help Erlinha escape his predicament. Trial mission teleport countdown. 3, 2, 1. Light enveloped the three of them. The next second, they heard chaotic sounds and crying. These damned undead. Son, my son. The three appeared on the second floor of a tavern. In a private room, through the gap in the window, they could see women and children gathered in the hall. It was as if the city had been attacked by something, and everyone was hiding here for refuge. Knock, knock, knock. The door was knocked. A man's voice came from outside. 3. The captain requests your presence. The three exchanged glances. Knowing that the plot was beginning, the door opened. Lead the way. Please follow me. Walking through a corridor in the tavern, the three were led into the last room. The door opened, and inside sat several well-equipped officers, looking at a map and discussing countermeasures loudly. Seeing the three enter, these officers also fell silent. Human warrior, Tier 4. Just Tier 4. It seemed that as Fang Hao had thought, without requiring them to bring troops. The system wouldn't arrange overly difficult missions for the traversers. Sit down, the middle-aged officer at the head spoke. Apparently the captain the soldier had mentioned. The three sat down. This village has many good places, but you've come at the wrong time, the captain said. Captain, what happened here? Is there anything we can help with? Fang Hao asked, getting straight to the point. The captain nodded. Last night, a large number of undead attacked the village. The situation is very bad now, and I am severely short of manpower, so I have called the three of you here, hoping you can help us retake the village. Then what should we do? Fang Hao continued to ask. To the north is our armory. If we can regain control of the armory, it will be a great help to the entire battle. Okay, give me a map. Leaving the tavern, the three of them quickly headed north. Villagers were going in and out, treating the wounded and transporting supplies to the front lines. And oh wonder, the tavern hall was only filled with women and children. It turned out the men were all outside helping. Boss, the undead, you're the most familiar with them, Zhang Bin said softly, moving closer. Familiar with what? The undead don't have high intelligence, and you can't build relationships with them, Fang Hao retorted. What, familiar or not? By the way, Brother Hao, does your territory have undead structures? Is it related to this mission? Dong Jiayue also curiously leaned in, her mind racing. No, don't talk nonsense. I'm a good person. The three continued forward, following the map. At this point, there were no more villagers in sight. The surroundings were empty, with only abandoned wooden houses remaining. Clang. A sudden sound of something falling broke the silence of the alley. The three tensed up and immediately looked towards the direction of the sound. They saw several rotting zombies. Having discovered the three, starting to approach. Carrion, Tier 1, poisonous carrion. Tier 3, they were carrion. Fang Hao exhaled, thinking to himself, asterisk eternal night soldiers. We undead won't take the blame for this. Asterisk swish, swish, swish. The three drew their weapons, preparing for battle. The starlight in Fang Hao's hand pointed at the poisonous carrion, and a fiery red magic arrow materialized. Swoosh. The sound of air being torn apart rang out as it instantly pierced the poisonous carrion's body. The arrow exploded, carrying a burning effect. "Boss, it's not dead yet," Zhangbin said, holding up his shield with a serious expression. "Poisonous carrion. Just the name implies poison. Getting close would be difficult." "It's okay." The three retreated a few steps, and the fire arrow materialized again, striking the poisonous carrion's head once more. When the fire arrow exploded, the carrion's body also exploded instantly, emitting green dust. "Back up. Don't get poisoned," Fang Hao continued. The three turned and ran, creating some distance, waiting for the remaining carrion to slowly approach. Soon, close combat began. The carrion's weapons struck Zhang Bin's kite shield, clanging loudly. Zhang Bin and Dong Jiue wielded their weapons relentlessly, dodging while launching counterattacks. Fang Hao stood at the rear, launching fire arrows to eliminate the unintelligent undead that he didn't. Summon a spirit servant. Spirit servants only exist for 30 minutes before entering a lengthy cooldown period. There weren't many monsters now, so there was no need to summon one yet. Soon, when Fang Hao's fire arrow shattered the last carrion's head, the battle ended. "That was exciting," Zhangbin said, flicking the blood off his knight's sword. This was his first real battle against the undead. He was a little excited after the battle. Dong Jiue, on the other hand, seemed much calmer. This wasn't her first encounter with undead creatures. There was an ancient tomb near her territory, and fighting the undead when exploring the tomb was a common occurrence. "All right, let's see if there's any loot," Fang Hao ordered, except for the Tier 3 poisonous carrion. The rest were Tier 1 ordinary carrion. They were slow and not very intelligent, without unified command. These undead creatures were difficult to use effectively in combat. They weren't difficult to deal with. Zhangbin quickly checked and said, "Boss, there's nothing." Roar. As soon as he finished speaking, the carrion roared again from ahead, and carrion began to emerge from the uninhabited houses. They began to move towards the three. A new round of combat began, the three covering each other and cooperating, launching a strong attack towards their destination. Large numbers of corpses fell, and blood dyed the ground a dark red. Inside a wooden house, separated from the armory by only one alley, the three sat on the ground, recovering their spent stamina. At this point, Fang Hao finally personally felt what it was like to be surrounded and exhausted. Even though the enemies weren't strong, their numbers were enough to wear you down. Fortunately, there was time to recover stamina. Otherwise, the three of them would have to retreat back to the tavern where the Erlenha soldiers were, wait until they were rested, and then continue fighting. The three recovered their stamina while peeking at the situation across the street through the cracks in the window. A large number of carrion were gathered around the armory. Tier 3 carrion and Tier 2 zombie spearmen were scattered among them. After a rough count, there were about 300. "Boss, there are too many carrion. Even if I stood there and let me kill them, I'd still be exhausted," Zhangbin whispered. "Don't rush. Rest for a while longer." Fang Hao unscrewed a bottle of mental recovery potion and drank it directly. His stamina had almost recovered. Fang Hao got up from the ground. "Charge out," Zhangbin asked. "Wait, I'll weaken them first." Fang Hao stood at the window and began to gather magic. The starlight in his hand, through the broken wooden window, pointed at the unaware carrion crowd across the road. Then, the sky suddenly darkened. A huge shadow enveloped the sky. Zhang Bin and Dong Jiue looked up in surprise. They saw a giant fireball, like a falling meteorite, rapidly descending, and the landing point was where the carrion were most concentrated. Boom! The ground shook with a trembling force. The flat ground was smashed into a huge pit, and flying dirt and rocks knocked down the carrion on the edge. Pooey! The three got up from the ground and spat out the dirt in their mouths. "Boss, your skill is too powerful," Zhangbin said, wiping the mud off his face. "Clean up the survivors on the edge, and we'll enter the warehouse," Fang Hao said. "Okay." Hearing Fang Hao's order, the two immediately rushed out of the house towards the scattered carrion, adding Fang Hao throwing one or two skills from afar from time to time. They eliminated all the enemies on the periphery. Once again, the battle ended, and this entire area was completely cleared. The armory was a warehouse built of stone bricks, perhaps for theft prevention. Each of the four walls had only a slender vent near the top, not to mention people. Even rats would have a hard time climbing in.so. Only by clearing the monsters in front of the main entrance could they enter the armory. Creak. With the sound of the door opening, the armory's gate was completely pushed open by the sunlight streamed in from the slender openings, illuminating the room. Rows of weapon racks displayed various weapons and armor, but they were covered in dust, indicating that they hadn't been used in a long time. And no wonder an armory like this would be lost so quickly. Let's see if there's anything good, Fang Hao said. The three immediately scattered and began searching. Boss, there are a lot of equipment blueprints here. Iron sword blueprint, wooden bow blueprint, iron arrow blueprint. Besides these, which were all white blueprints, there was also a set of green leather armored Erlenha Guard helmet blueprint, green. Erlenha Guard thick leather armor blueprint, green. Erlenha Guard bracers blueprint, green. Erlenha long boots blueprint, green. Thought I said. There were actually set blueprints that Erlenha Guard thick leather armor, green. Type, defensive chest armor defense, tier 2 defense set effect. Movement speed increased by 2%. Reload speed increased by 2%. Morale recovery increased by 20%. This effect can be stacked with other equipment. Description, specially produced. Armor for members of the Erlenha Elite Guard. The single-piece armor attributes can be worn by soldiers, but the set attribute provides a reload speed bonus. In other words, this set of equipment is more suitable for archer units. Fang Hao held the blueprints and looked at Dong Jiayue beside him. If it were just him and Zhang Bin, Fang Hao would have directly collected these blueprints. If Zhang Bin collected them, he could also unlock them, but this time, Dong Jiayue also contributed a lot. If it weren't for his Spark's special skill, Dong Jiayue would have killed the most. It would be suspicious if he didn't discuss it with her, like he was hoarding equipment. But since he had the hundredfold increase, it was more suitable for him to collect the blueprints than Dong Jiayue. Brother Hao, you can take them. Just make a few sets for me when the time comes, Dong Jiayue said generously. After all, Fang Hao had helped her a lot as well, especially just now. He had given her a new set of armor. She had realized that going out on adventures with her troops every day didn't yield as many benefits as spending some time with Fang Hao. Okay, just tell me how many sets you want then. Fang Hao directly collected the green set.as for the few white blueprints. Dong Jiayue chose a few that she didn't have and also collected them into her lord's book. After collecting the blueprints and finding no other good items, Zhang Bin directly climbed from the second floor to the roof and raised the flag of Erlenha. When the captain of Erlenha's guards saw the flag, he would know that the place had been captured and would bring the guards over to retrieve equipment for a counterattack. Stage task completed. Reward: Human Influence plus 100, Healing Potion x3, Mana Potion x2. Special Team Reward: choose one from 3. Stamina Inspiration Potion, Mana Inspiration Potion, White Steel Curved Blade, blue. Selection countdown, 59, 58. There were even stage rewards, 2 inspiration potions, and 1 blue equipment. Let's choose the Stamina Inspiration Potion for Dong Jiayue, Fang Hao said. Fang Hao had already used the Mana Inspiration Potion. Zhang Bin had also used the Stamina Inspiration Potion. Only Dong Jiayue hadn't. None of the 3 items were particularly needed, and it was also a good opportunity to choose the Inspiration Potion for Dong Jiayue to increase her own strength. Isn't this too much? Dong Jiayue said. It's fine, Zhang Bin. Choose the Inspiration Potion for her. The rewards were to be chosen and distributed by the captain, and the captain of this team was Zhang Bin. Okay. Zhang Bin directly chose the Stamina Inspiration Potion and handed it to Dong Jiayue. The latter held the potion in her small hand and repeatedly thanked them. Thank you, Brother Hao. Thank you, Brother Bin. All right. Drink it quickly, Fang Hao said. Dong Jiayue didn't hesitate. She had learned a little about inspiration potions from the 2 of them on the way. She knew it was a potion that changed one's physique. Twisting open the cap, she tilted her head back and drank it. As soon as it went down, Dong Jiayue's face instantly turned red, and dense beads of sweat began to appear on her forehead. What's going on? Fang Hao looked at Zhang Bin, as Zhang Bin had also drunk a stamina potion. It's nothing. There will be some tingling sensation in the muscles when the physique changes, Zhang Bin replied. Indeed. A look of pain appeared on Dong Jiayue's face. Fang Hao helped her sit down to rest. After about 5 minutes, Dong Jiayue's complexion returned to normal. She stood up and moved her body around. How do you feel? Fang Hao asked. Very good. Full of strength, Dong Jiayue replied. That's good. Thump, thump, thump. At this moment, dense footsteps came from outside the door. It was the people from the Erlenhug Guard who had arrived. The middle-aged captain rushed into the armory first, nodded to the three of them, and then shouted loudly, "Distribute armor and weapons to all villagers who can fight, quickly. Everyone move." The captain roared loudly, and everyone moved silently, taking out the weapons and equipment from inside and distributing them to the soldiers and villagers who could fight. The armory was extremely busy, but no one spoke. Thank you three for your help. The undead have gathered at the second line of defense, and there are many of them. It will likely be a desperate battle next. The captain walked over, thanked them briefly, and also explained the situation they were facing. The sudden attack by the undead had caught the village off guard. All the guards quickly gathered, rescued all the survivors, and established a second line of defense to hold on desperately. Now, except for some children and elderly, everyone, regardless of gender, had already gone to the battlefield. This was a battle of life and death. What can we do? Fang Hao asked. The captain looked south and slowly said, "Join us in the counterattack. If you have a chance, break out and leave. This is not your battlefield. Escape if you have the chance." The system had given them the identity of travelers passing through Erlenha village. The three travelers had already fought for them until now, which was a great help. "We can win, don't worry," Fang Hao said seriously. "We will definitely win." 10 minutes later, everyone arrived at the second line of defense. Various items and wooden stakes were used to build a defensive wall more than 1 person high. The soldiers used the defensive circle as a base to resist the continuous attacks of the decaying corpses and undead. The guard will form the first battle formation, and the rest of you will follow behind us. When the gate opens, we will pierce the backs of these undead like a sharp knife, and keep killing until we reach the city gate and regain control of it. The captain roared loudly, giving pre-battle instructions. Only a few guards responded, while the armed villagers remained silent. "Get ready, open the gate." The gate opened, and the captain of the guard shouted, "Kill." Everyone rushed out with their weapons, using their iron spears to push back the decaying corpses in front, forcing the corpse team back 5 or 6 meters. Next was close combat. Living beings fighting the undead. Fang Hao stood on the city wall, released 2 fire arrows, and then began to summon spirits. Elemental energy gathered, and 3 wood element spirits appeared beside Fang Hao. He could summon 2 with his skill, but with the addition of the elemental codex fragment, the number of spirits increased by 1. As soon as the wood elements appeared, they immediately cast entangle. Vines began to grow at the feet of the decaying corpses, binding them in place and preventing them from moving. Immediately after, their arms turned into vines and attacked the enemies in front. They whipped with a cracking sound. The villagers' desperate struggle turned the tide of the battle. Large numbers of decaying corpses died, and the humans began to gain the upper hand. Just as everyone saw hope, a wolf howl suddenly came from afar. Howl. Everyone looked up. They saw a giant wolf-like creature on the roof in front, howling at the sky. The giant wolf's body was already rotten, with shredded flesh hanging on its broken skeleton, and terrifying gaps in its head and abdomen. A strange black aura arose from its body, and its eyes glowed with a ghostly green light. Doomsday Dread Wolf, Tier 7. Seeing the information about the Dread Wolf, the faces of Fang Hao and the other 2 instantly changed. A Tier 7 unit was already far beyond what they could handle, especially after fighting for so long. After the Dread Wolf roared, its green glowing eyes looked down at the people fighting below. Through the Dread Wolf's eyes, Fang Hao saw coldness, cunning, and the anticipation of playing with its prey. That he could be sure that this Dread Wolf, whose body was severely decayed, possessed its own intelligence. The head, covered in rotting flesh, scanned the guards below one by one. Even the battle-hardened warriors, at the moment they were targeted by the Doomsday Dread Wolf, couldn't help but shiver and subconsciously took 2 steps back. The highest-ranking guard captain present had only reached Tier 4. However, the Dread Wolf standing on the roof had not only reached Tier 7, but also possessed the characteristics of an undead. Boss, it's not easy to deal with, Zhongbin said. Retreating a few steps to Fang Hao's side, Zhongbin looked a bit disheveled, covered in sticky blood, and his metal plate armor had several obvious scratches. Fortunately, his mental state was still good, and he wasn't injured. If we don't kill it, we won't be able to pass. Preserve your strength and look for an opportunity to kill it, Fang Hao also instructed in a low voice. This was a test. They couldn't just run away if they had a chance, as the guard captain had said to Tio Pass. They had to kill this dreadwolf, or be killed by it. Okay, Zhongbin said, and Dong Jiayue also nodded slightly. Howl. The doomsday dreadwolf let out another howl. The ghouls below attacked like madmen. Kill. The guard captain wiped the blood from his face and roared. Kill, kill. All the guards also charged out, fighting the frenzied ghouls again. The doomsday dreadwolf leaped down and pounced on a guard below. It bit off the guard's head and swallowed it, leaving bits of flesh hanging from the exposed rib cage, while the bloody head dropped to the ground through the open abdomen and rolled to the side. Such a bloody and brutal scene sent shivers down everyone's spines. But after killing one target, the dreadwolf didn't hesitate for a moment and pounced on another guard. It crushed the guard's bones and bit off his head. The huge dreadwolf, like a maddened bull, picked out targets on the battlefield. Bang! The guard captain raised his shield and knocked away the dreadwolf that was pouncing on its next target. The dreadwolf's body flew sideways, its head shaking from the impact. It looked at the human who had hit it, its eyes filled with cold, killing intent. I'll hold it off. You clear out the ghouls, the captain roared again. Yes, the rest of the team, including Fang Hao and the others, began to clear out the ghouls with more effort. They aimed to clear the small fry as quickly as possible before helping the guard captain eliminate the dreadwolf. Time was short, and everyone was attacking with all their might. Fang Hao shot out arrows, killing the ghouls one by one. The wood sprites also rushed into the enemy, their hands turning into vines, piercing the ghouls' bodies. The number of ghouls was decreasing, but it was also reaching the limit of the guard captain's resistance. The dreadwolf's huge wolf claws swung out. Bang! A dull thud, like a giant hammer hitting the ground. The captain's body instantly flew out, falling to the ground in a heap. The dreadwolf naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity. It leaped up, pounced on him, and its sharp teeth bit towards his head. This critical moment, seeing the person with the highest combat power on the field about to die, Fang Hao didn't think too much. He pointed his left hand at the dreadwolf and shot out a flaming fireball. The flaming fireball was not Fang Hao's skill, but a skill attached to the blaze ring that he hadn't used. This ring, which he had obtained from the Inwind fortress, much since he put it on. But today, as soon as the cooldown was over, he would immediately shoot out a fireball, interspersed with his fire arrows to kill the targets on the field. Bang! The flaming fireball accurately hit the dreadwolf's body, instantly setting its remaining sparse fur ablaze. The captain seized this opportunity, rolled sideways, and distanced himself from the dreadwolf. Successfully saving the guard captain also attracted the dreadwolf's attention. That a pair of eerie green eyes stared at Fang Hao, its shriveled tongue rolling in its mouth. The next second, it directly abandoned the humans around it and charged straight towards Fang Hao's position, like a runaway car. It knocked away all the guards in its path. Boss, I'm here. Zhongbin stepped forward, lowering his center of gravity, his entire body hidden behind the kite shield, directly blocking in front of Fang Hao. It wasn't about loyalty, but if Fang Hao died, his good days would be over. Bang! With a loud crash, Zhongbin's entire body flew backward like a kite with a broken string, falling to the ground and spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Even so, he still blocked the dreadwolf's charge. The three wood sprites also took this opportunity to block in front of Fang Hao, vines growing from the ground, wrapping around the dreadwolf's limbs. Zhongbin. Fang Hao stared at the dreadwolf and shouted loudly. I'm fine. It just hurts a bit, Zhongbin said, taking out a bottle of healing potion and gulping it down. After confirming that Zhongbin was fine, Fang Hao still stared intently at the dreadwolf. The staff in his left hand condensed another fire arrow and shot it at the dreadwolf. The rest of the guards also gathered around and began to attack the dreadwolf. Brother Hao, step back. Dong Jiayue blocked in front of Fang Hao, her spear pointing forward. Fang Hao slowly retreated, creating a distance for normal output. Puff, puff, puff. After the ghouls were cleared, the dread wolf was surrounded by everyone. Spears, iron swords, arrows, and magic all fell densely upon its body. Puff. In the chaotic battle, Dong Jieyue tightly gripped her spear and launched a fierce offensive. The spear became a line, a cold gleam bloomed, and the spear tip instantly pierced into the dread wolf's pupil. The dread wolf, which had been impervious to pain, let out a painful wail at this moment. It swept away the guards blocking its path and charged directly towards Dong Jieyue in front. Seeing the dread wolf rushing towards her, Dong Jieyue twisted her body and fled, seeing the human who had injured it trying to escape. The dread wolf leaped high and pounced on its target. Dong Jieyue tilted her head slightly, and seeing the dread wolf pounce, a fierce look reappeared in her eyes. She twisted her waist, extended her arm, raised her spear, turned around, and thrust forward. The momentum of the spear was unstoppable, piercing through the dread wolf's mouth, lifting it high, and hanging it on the spear. The others immediately stepped forward and surrounded the still struggling dread wolf. Launching an attack, the spear vibrated and was pulled out, and blood instantly gushed out. Carrying a putrid smell of a corpse, the dread wolf's huge body lay on the ground, twitched twice, and then never got up again. It was completely dead. The guard captain glanced at the wolf's carcass, picked up his iron sword, and chopped off the wolf's head. After confirming that it could no longer survive, he began to organize manpower to take over the city wall defense again. Fang Hao and the other two sat on a nearby wooden stake. They looked at each other, feeling some lingering fear that a Tier 7 monster had almost wiped them out. If Dong Jieyue hadn't taken the inspiration potion and lacked strength and stamina, it would have been another matter whether they could have killed the dread wolf. "Zhangbin, are you okay?" Fang Hao asked again. "I'm fine. This potion really works. It doesn't hurt after drinking it," Zhangbin said from the side. "Dong Jieyue, how about you?" Fang Hao looked at Dong Jieyue. That strike just now was something else. Really cool. It was like watching a movie, killing the pouncing dread wolf directly. "I'm fine. Brother Hao, you can just call me Jieyue. You don't have to call my full name every time," Dong Jieyue said. After the life and death experience, the relationship between the three of them also grew closer. "Okay, let's rest for a bit. Maybe there are other dangers." As soon as Fang Hao finished speaking, the guards had successfully taken over the city wall the moment the city gate closed. The three of them also received a system prompt. Historical battle. The dilemma of Erlenha completed. Rewards issued. Frost Armor Skill Scroll, Death Visage Faction Scroll, Spell Elixir, Apprentice Mage Robe, Apprentice Staff. Phew, it's over, finally over. The three of them sat on the ground, all letting out a sigh of relief. Return countdown. 3, 2, 1. The light lit up again, and the figures of the three disappeared from where they stood. When Fang Hao reappeared, he had already returned to his territory, opening the Lord's book. Fang Hao contacted the other two, learning that they had both returned safely to their territories. He also felt relieved. "Master." Ear walked out of the Stone Lord's building, saw Fang Hao, and was slightly startled. She didn't know when he had returned. "Yes. Ear, I'm a bit hungry. Prepare lunch. And have someone prepare some bathwater." "Okay." During the trial, time wasn't static, but the flow rate was different. The battle in Erlenha village lasted at least 7 or 8 hours, and hundreds of decaying corpses were eliminated. But upon returning, it was only noon. Only 3 or 4 hours had passed. Went to prepare lunch. And Fang Hao also began to check the rewards he had received. The rewards given for this trial mission were all skills or apprentice equipment. They were focused on personal abilities. The skill scrolls were Frost Armor and Death as Visage. Do you want to learn the skill, Frost Armor? Do you want to learn the Faction Legion skill, Death's Visage? Learn. The 2 scrolls turned into light and directly entered Fang Hao's body. Frost Armor type. Water skill. Description. Forms a defensive armor after casting, increasing your defense value by 35% of your mental power. And casting magic, excluding fire, will apply a frost effect. Fang Hao cast it directly. A surge of energy rose, forming a light blue protective layer around his body. It was like wearing a layer of clothing made of blue glass. after checking frost armor. He continued to look at the second skill. Death is visage. Passive. Type. Undead Legion skill. Description. Whenever a soldier under your command dies, all soldiers will enter a fierce fighting state, increasing attack and defense by 1%. Maximum stack 100. Holy crap. This Legion skill is amazing. I have so many soldiers. Just the ones trampled to death by their own kind in each battle are enough for 100 stacks. Reaching 100% stack is practically effortless. Doesn't that mean I just need to sacrifice 100 low-tier units to get a 100% attack and defense buff for hundreds of thousands of troops? At that point, the combat power of the units would reach a terrifying level. What a pity. It still has a limit of 100. It would be great if there wasn't this limit, if the attack stacked to 100,000. Even an ordinary skeleton warrior could instantly kill a dragon with one sword. In short, even if it can only stack up to 100. This skill is still very powerful. It increases the overall combat power of the Legion. Spell elixir. Type. Potion ability. Skill channeling. Speed permanently increased by 2%. Description. An elixir mixed with the blood of a tyrant. Absorbing. It will enhance your understanding of magic. Another good item. After drinking it, it can increase skill channeling speed. In simpler terms, it reduces casting time. This kind of potion is very important for mages. No less valuable than getting a powerful skill. As for the remaining apprentice magic robe and apprentice staff, there's no need to look at them. They are both green tier beginner equipment. When the equipment of the undead mages in the territory breaks someday, I'll give these two to them. Zhang Bin, what skills did you get? Fang Hao opened the Lord's book and asked Zhang Bin. The equipment rewards should all be beginner equipment. The main thing is to see what skills were obtained. Iron Wall. It can increase my defense and blocking effect. And there's a Legion skill, Hold the Line, which increases Legion defense and counterattack ability in defensive battles. It feels like all my skills are for getting hit. Boss, am I walking down a path of no return? Zhang Bin replied. Whether it's Iron Wall or the Legion skill Hold the Line, they both sound defensive. And understanding them as skills for getting hit isn't wrong. The tank in games. The strongest class, a true man. Fang Hao comforted him. That's true. My physique is getting better and better. Closing the chat with Zhang Bin, Fang Hao opened the private chat with Dong Jiayue again, and he learned that Dong Jiayue was also rewarded with 2 skills. Point 1 increases her own attack speed, and the Legion skill increases unit attack speed by 20% and attack power by 5%. That it's somewhat similar to the Orc's Blood Rage, temporarily increasing movement and burst power. After chatting with the two of them, today's trial could be considered concluded. Master, the bathwater is ready. A maid walked over. Okay. Fang Hao replied and walked towards the Lord's mansion. Bathing here wasn't as simple as in modern times. It required arranging for someone to heat water and then pour it into the bathtub. Entering the bathroom, he took off his clothes and directly entered the tub. A wave of comfort made him feel a bit sleepy, just as he was enjoying it. The sound of the door opening rang out. A pair of soft, small hands rested on Fang Hao's shoulders from behind, beginning to gently massage him. When the other person's small head leaned over, Fang Hao saw that the one who came in wasn't eared. It was the white fox maid who was arranged to manage the basement in the Lord's mansion. Why is it you? Fang Hao asked subconsciously. The maid was a little flustered and quickly replied. Sister Ear is cooking. She asked me to serve you with your bath. Oh, okay. Go to the door and get the blue potion from my backpack. Fang Hao said. He suddenly remembered that he hadn't drunk the spell elixir yet. It's better to drink this kind of potion sooner rather than later. Yes, Master, the fox girl replied, took out the potion from the backpack nearby, and handed it to Fang Hao. Having some understanding of potions, he didn't think too much this time, unscrewed the cap, and swallowed it in one gulp. The cool liquid slid down his chest into his abdomen. First, there was a wave of coolness, followed by a stinging sensation all over his body. His abdomen felt like a ball of fire had ignited, and his entire skin color instantly turned red, like a cooked crab. Master, what's wrong? The fox girl beside him asked softly. Hot. Too hot. Fang Hao knew this was the effect of the potion, but he still felt uncomfortable. He immediately stood up from the bathtub. exposing his entire body to the air. Seeing this scene and hearing Fang Hao's groans, the fox girl's face instantly turned red under her shyness. She slowly began to take off her clothes. After completely undressing, she walked to Fang Hao's side with her head lowered. Fang Hao turned around, saw the fox girl's appearance, and was slightly startled. She was even redder than he was now. "That's not what I meant," Fang Hao said. The fox girl's face was flushed. "Master, I'm not very good at this." The effect of the potion didn't last too long. But Fang Hao's heart became increasingly restless. An hour later, served by the fox girl, Fang Hao put on new clothes and walked out of the bathroom with her. At the same time, Cold Wind Mountain Range. After Fang Hao annihilated 300,000 of their troops, the entire Cold Wind Mountain Range was in a state of high tension. Tribes near the edge of the mountain range were even more on edge, fearing that the undead army would rush over recklessly, and they would be the first to suffer. Skullcrusher Tribe. Chieftain's Hall. Skullcrusher Sar sat in his chair, his face gloomy. "That's the situation. So I asked the Bloodmaw tribe to join us and eliminate this potential threat." In the center of the hall sat a giant nearly 5 meters tall. His huge hands were playing with 2 human skulls that had already developed a patina. This giant was from the troll Bloodmaw tribe. Fist of Flesh. Caius, Orange Tier 3 hero. Once, the Bloodmaw tribe's reputation spread throughout the entire region. A byword for ferocity and terror, the former chieftain of the Bloodmaw tribe was extremely bloodthirsty. With the god of slaughter as the tribe's only totem, any captives or slaves from any force who fell into his hands would be brought before the altar and sacrificed to the great god of slaughter, regardless of who they were or their status. They were all his offerings. But no matter how powerful the trolls were, they only relied on their own bloodline and rapid rise. When they angered both the elves and the dragons at the same time, a battle that spanned the entire region was completely ignited. The armies of the dragon and elf races, with overwhelming military force, crushed the Bloodmaw tribe. Only a small number of trolls retreated into the resource-scarce mountains, continuing to survive and reproduce. 100 years passed. The Bloodmaw tribe slowly grew strong again, and this current chieftain was still powerful, believing in the god of slaughter. "Sar, you really are a waste. A force that just started developing beat you into this state." Caius's voice was rough, like the roar of a giant beast that in the Orc Hall. Such mockery and humiliation of a great chieftain made Sar's face look a little ugly. But at present, the Skullcrusher tribe was indeed powerless to defeat those undead, and various problems had arisen internally. He had no choice but to bow his head to the troll before him. He forced a smile and said, "The Skullcrusher tribe cannot compare to the Bloodmaw tribe. If it were an ordinary opponent, I wouldn't have come to the Bloodmaw tribe." There was some flattery in Sar's words. But for the trolls, who had always prioritized military force, it was very effective. Caius's originally serious expression revealed a hint of a smile. "What you said is also right. Tell me, what can I get if I help you?" Sar's heart instantly rejoiced. This big guy was really simple-minded. A few words had somewhat persuaded him. "Chieftain Caius, the spoils of war will be split 3-7, with Bloodmaw taking 7, Sar said. Caius sneered. "Humph. What do you take my Bloodmaw tribe for? Free thugs? Then, Chieftain Caius, how do you want to split it?" Sar asked with a frown. "Sar, if I don't help you, the undead will attack you within 10 days. By then, let alone the spoils of war, it's uncertain whether Skullcrusher will even exist," Caius said. Sar's face became even more unsightly. Whether it was personal strength or the overall strength of the tribe, he had to get the help of the Bloodmaw tribe. Otherwise, Skullcrusher might truly be gone. "Chieftain Caius, just tell me directly, what will it take for you to be willing to deal with those undead?" Caius glanced at Sar and said directly, "All the spoils of war are mine. In addition, you will also prepare 300,000 war coins for me as remuneration for this operation. Don't rush to refuse, Sar. I am fully capable of destroying you and then eliminating those undead." Such direct provocation instantly made the atmosphere in the entire hall serious. Several orc warriors at the door had slowly moved their hands closer to the weapons at their waists. As long as Sar gave the order, they would launch an attack on the troll. even if the other party was a powerful hero. Whoosh. Sor took a deep breath, calming the anger that had risen in his heart, and finally agreed. Okay, I agree, but I need to raise this much money. I can only pay you after we defeat those undead. Okay, then it's settled. Arrange for scouts to collect the intelligence and give me a copy. By then, we will attack from 2 directions simultaneously. It shouldn't be difficult to destroy a newly started undead force. Caius stood up and said in a deep voice. His huge body was like a small mountain, and the armor on his body made clanging sounds as he moved. Okay, the scouts have already been sent out. I will send you the information as soon as I have it. Urge your people. I'm already impatient to crush those bone people. Caius touched the skull he was holding. It will be very soon. Caius didn't waste any more words. Stooped and walked out of the orc hall after lunch. Fang Hao also filled his empty stomach. He glanced at the regional channel. It was really quiet today. Not a single person was talking. Fang Hao even suspected that maybe the trial quest was too difficult, and these people had all died. Ear, have you heard of the inspiration potion? After eating, Ear brought a plate of fruit. I've heard of it. It's a potion often used by humans. I heard it can allow ordinary people to become warriors, but it's rarely seen among beast men. Ear replied softly. Tribes among the beast men who are good at fighting are born warriors, just like beast men with demon bloodlines. The Minotaur tribe, these are born warriors. Some thin people will quickly be eliminated by the tribe. There is no need to study this kind of auxiliary potion at all. Moreover, the price of potions itself is not low, let alone that they are very difficult to buy. Can you use it? Fang Hao asked. Fang Hao's idea was also very simple. The inspiration potion can change a person's physique. Regardless of whether they fight or not, it can make a person healthier. Even though Fang Hao drank the magic potion, he could clearly feel the changes in his body. Mosquitoes didn't bother him, and his physique was strengthened. In the future, when he gets potions, can he prepare some for Ear and the others to enhance their physical strength and give them some self-preservation ability? I don't know, but it should be possible. I once heard that some beastmen bought potions. Ear also picked up a fruit and took a light bite. Fang Hao nodded and didn't say much more. Bang. Just then, the door was pushed open forcefully, and Jiao walked in carrying a silver treasure chest. She threw it directly at Fang Hao's feet and said, Quick, open it and see if there's anything good inside. Fang Hao looked at the treasure chest on the ground, and then at the dusty Jia. In a wonder, I didn't see Jia at lunch. It turns out she went out adventuring again. Are there still monster strongholds near the territory? Fang Hao was a little disbelieving. With so many troops now and a large patrol range, how could there still be monster strongholds? No, I rode the giant lizard out and went a little further. There are still 3 bear corpses outside. You can butcher them too. And Jia replied flatly. Good heavens, the giant lizard was prepared for her. It seems. Fang Hao didn't say anything and opened the treasure chest directly. Obtained. Iron Axe Blueprint. Leather Collar Blueprint. Nature Gem 2. War Coin 31. The Iron Axe Blueprint was already a duplicate. He would sell it in the channel later when someone wanted it. And seeing the second blueprint, Fang Hao's brows furrowed slightly. Leather Collar Category. Necklace Defense. Level 1 Defense. Description. Surely no one thinks it's armor, right? Leather Collar. Leather 1. Metal Parts 1. Thread 2. Ah, this thing even has a blueprint? How is it? Is there anything good? And Jia asked while eating fruit. Yes, very practical. Fang Hao silently added the blueprint to his collection. I told you my luck has always been good. I've never opened a treasure chest that didn't have anything in it, and Jia boasted. Then thank you for bringing good luck to me. You're welcome. Just work hard and don't lose the territory, and Jia continued. Hey, what kind of talk is that? In the afternoon, Fang Hao began to craft the Erlen Hagard set to equip the archers in the territory. Afterward, he also took an order at the Merchant Alliance building to replenish the needed items. Amidst the busy work, it was already evening. During dinner, when Fang Hao opened the Lord's book, the number of people in the channel instantly increased. It seemed they had completed their trial quests by evening. My monster was a murloc. It was quite big. Its fish head had big bulging eyes, and it could even come ashore to attack. I'm allergic to seafood. Damn it. I won the fight, but now I'm all allergic. My quest was an orc attack on a village. Although they were all tier 1 orcs, many people died. It was too tragic. You guys are all good. The captain of my team was an idiot. When choosing rewards, he didn't care about anyone else and only chose what he could use. He even said he was the damn savior. Save your ass. Then you're really miserable. What's his name? Tell us so everyone can avoid him. Exactly. I hated this the most when playing games too. Hogging equipment. His name is Xie Yuanfei. Everyone remember him. Even if you team up, don't let him be the captain. Damn it, what equipment did I screw you over? You didn't say anything when we met, and now you're bad-mouthing me everywhere after coming back. Are you King sick? After the other party revealed his name. This person, named Xie Yuanfei, couldn't sit still and came out cursing. Do you think I didn't want to? You were the captain. Who knows if you would return to your territory after it ended? What if this guy killed me? Anyway, trash like you doesn't deserve teammates. I'll also report someone. He hid during the battle, and one of my teammates died. His name is the first cooperation. Among the crossings seemed to be unsuccessful. Many people started reporting the names of their teammates one after another. There was a heated debate in the channel. The next day, Prul City that a sharp blade was pressed against Fang Hao's throat that he lay back, the bitter smell of soap filling his nose. The razor was forcefully scraping the stubble on his chin. The barber's expression was like that of a focused sculptor, carefully trimming the beard and hair of the well-dressed young man before him. It had been more than 20 days since he transmigrated. And this was the first time Fang Hao had found a place to get a haircut. They even offered a beard trimming service, although his chin only had sparse stubble. Is this your first time here, sir? The barber asked casually while working. Yes, my first time. Visiting relatives? Each city wasn't too big. People in a region might not all know each other, but a newcomer could still be recognized at a glance. Obviously, the young man in front of him, both in appearance and attire, proved his identity as an outsider. No, I live in a nearby city and wanted to come here to do some business, Fang Hao said. Oh, doing business here? What kind of business are you planning to do? The barber became interested and asked again. Catering. The barber was slightly taken aback, then understood the meaning of the word catering and said, You look like a scholar. The taverns in the city are doing very well. Everyone likes to go there to drink. It might be difficult to run a business now. The place I'm opening is mainly for eating, and then selling alcohol, Fang Hao replied. The barber didn't continue speaking, apparently not believing that this business would be successful. Seeing that he didn't speak, Fang Hao continued to ask, Are there any orc slaves for sale here? Huh. The barber subconsciously glanced at the beastman girl waiting for Fang Hao to finish his haircut not far away. Occasionally. It's been a while since they came recently. Those orc slave traders will bring some beastmen who resemble humans and sell them at high prices to those noble lords. So, bunny girls and the like are very popular. Cough, cough. The barber coughed lightly twice, answering tactfully, Perhaps. The rabbit girl slaves that are shipped are all sold. He finished trimming the hairstyle, using linen to wipe away the stray hairs from Fang Hao's neck. All right, sir. The barber gently patted his shoulder. Fang Hao stood up, bending over to sweep the stray hairs from his head with his hand. It seemed there was no shampoo service here, so he could only rinse it off directly when he got back. He paid the barber and left the house with Njia. Why did you cut it so short? Njia asked on the way. Does it look bad? No, those nobles all keep their hair long, combed back. You should learn from their style, Njia suggested. I'm not a noble, and their hairstyles aren't cool at all. The two passed through streets, just in time to see the tavern opening. It was still morning. It wasn't yet the tavern's opening time, but they had to prepare in advance. Pushing open the tavern door, the bartenders were tidying up the tables and chairs, cleaning up the mess left over from last night. The landlady stood in front of the counter, arms raised high, stretching languidly. Her ample figure was fully displayed at this moment. Accompanied by a lazy groan. It almost made one vomit blood. So stimulating so early in the morning, one wondered how the owner of this shop was doing. After stretching, the landlady noticed Fang Hao, who had entered, wiping the counter while revealing a hint of charm. She said, Coming so early, are you here to drink or to chat with me? It wasn't suitable to drink at this time, but there were quite a few men who came early in the morning to chat with her. Fang Hao sat down on a chair beside her and said directly, "Chatting." The landlady revealed a smile, resting her arms on the counter. "Come on. Sister likes you young and strong types. Damn. Which street in Pearl City is suitable for doing business?" Fang Hao asked. The landlady was slightly stunned, originally thinking it was a flirtatious remark, but it sounded like business talk. "What do you want to do?" "Open a shop," Fang Hao replied. "If you want to open a shop, this street is the most suitable for doing business." The landlady picked up the rag again, continuing to wipe the counter. Pearl City was actually not that big, with a population of about 10,000. The most prosperous street was the commercial street, where the tavern was located, saying it was the most prosperous was only in comparison to other streets. This street gathered various commercial shops in the city and could be said to be the city's prime location. "How about the shop across from you? I see it's for sale." Fang Hao continued to ask. "You little rascal. So you came to sister to get information." The landlady leaned over the counter, affectionately tapping Fang Hao's forehead. The loose collar drooped down when she leaned over, exposing a large expanse of her full breasts. Taverns were good places to gather information. Whether it was locals or travelers passing through, they would stop at the tavern. Intoxication would bring out more words, and while the patrons might not realize it, the shop owner would hear a lot of news. Just like last time, when the landlady asked Fang Hao who the kidnappers were, he only gave a perfunctory answer. But the combination of beastman and human made her deduce the beastman with a nail-studded club, who wasn't too bright. So, if you want to inquire about something, the tavern is a good place. Fang Hao's gaze swept across her ample and fleshy chest, secretly thinking whether he should also popularize underwear for the local residents to expand the female market. "Indeed, you are beautiful and kind-hearted. The first person I thought of was you, sister," Fang Hao praised. When asking for help, one naturally had to give the other party enough face. "Heh, little rascal," the landlady scolded with a smile. But she was somewhat fond of the young man in front of her, who was handsome and wealthy. Going around the bar, she sat directly on the chair next to Fang Hao, lowering her voice. "That shop is not easy to buy. Otherwise, why do you think it hasn't been sold on this street? Is there something wrong with it? Is it haunted?" Perhaps it was because of the undead camp, but the first thing he thought of when the shop had a problem was ghosts. Images of ghosts scurrying around in the room floated in his mind. "What haunted? Don't talk nonsense." The landlady lightly hit his arm. The shop owner offended someone. "This shop can't be opened and can't be sold." Who did he offend? Red lips approached his ear, and she said warily, "The intendant general's son." Outside Pearl City, a man with pimples on his face stared at the giant lizard in the stable that he made SSS sounds from time to time, walking around the stable several times. "What the hell is this thing?" The pimple-faced man cursed. Behind the pimple-faced man were several lackeys, wearing linen shirts and iron swords hanging from their waists. They didn't look like city guards, but they were also in uniform. "Boss, a giant dragon." "It should be a giant dragon." A lackey stepped forward and said, "Slap." The pimple-faced man slapped the lackey on the back of the head, cursing. "Are you blind? Are a giant dragon's legs this short? Does it look this stupid? What's it going to fly with without wings?" The big guy in front of them really had some similarities to the rumored giant dragons, but it wasn't a giant dragon. It was more like an enlarged version of a crocodile. The lackey shrank his neck. "Boss, look, I'm just joking with you. Enlivening the atmosphere. I don't need you to enliven it." The pimple-faced man cursed, taking off the iron sword from his waist, and poked the giant lizard with the scabbard. The giant lizard opened its eyes, scaring the pimple-faced man to retreat quickly, tripping over his feet and falling directly to the ground. But the giant lizard didn't react at all, glanced at him, turned its head, and continued to sleep. The pimple-faced man was helped up by the lackey and said, "Oh, it's quite docile. Go, lead it back. I want to be a dragon knight." "Boss, didn't you say it wasn't a dragon? Why so much nonsense? Hurry up." The pimple-faced man kicked the lackey hard. The lackey was driven, cautiously approaching the giant lizard, slowly reaching for the rope tied to the wooden stake. "What are you doing?" A reprimand rang out behind him, and the lackey who went to untie the rope trembled with fear. Everyone turned to look and saw the patrolling guard captain, who happened to be passing by. The pimple-faced man said disdainfully, Mind your own business, or I'll give you 2 punches, and you'll get beaten for nothing. The owner of this giant lizard is a guest of the city lord. If you don't want to cause trouble, you'd better not touch it, the guard captain reminded. But he didn't step forward. It was a giant lizard. The pimple-faced man and his lackeys finally knew what the creature in front of them was. I'm also acting according to the city's regulations. He's putting such a big thing here. What if it attacks people? I'll take it away temporarily and let him come to my residence to take it away, the pimple-faced man said. After speaking, he gave his subordinates a look, and the lackeys went to untie the rope. Again, it seemed that they were determined to take the giant lizard with its huge size away, just as they untied the rope and tried to pull the giant lizard. A woman's voice rang out again. I advise you not to touch it. If it launches an attack, you'll all die here. The pimple-faced man looked again and saw a white-haired, beast-eared girl walking out of the city. Her figure and face were like a pretty leopard, giving people a special feeling. Beastman, a female beastman? What are you doing in Pearl City? The pimple-faced man's eyes were constantly looking up and down. What I'm doing is none of your business. I'm the owner of this giant lizard, and I'll take good care of it. You can leave, and Jia said again. Haha, how do you prove that this giant lizard is yours? The pimple-faced man said, putting his hands behind his back, giving a gesture to several lackeys. The lackeys looked at each other, their hands slowly approaching the iron swords on their waists. Jia saw the actions of several people and also showed a sneer. Do it, the pimple-faced man said. The lackeys just drew out the iron swords on their waists, just wanted to tease 2 sentences, then saw a phantom pass in front of them. Bang! After a muffled sound, the beast girl's punch had already slammed into the pimple-faced man's face. The pimple-faced man fell to the ground, and the beast girl followed closely, her fists falling like raindrops, constantly hitting the man's face. The frequency of the fists falling didn't even allow the pimple-faced man to utter a wail. There was only the sound of fists hitting. The guard captain was somewhat surprised by the strength of the beast girl, but still said, Enough, you will beat him to death like this. And Jia stopped her fist, coldly sweeping towards the approaching guard. The captain immediately stopped, explaining, We didn't touch this giant lizard, and we are not with them, don't misunderstand. And Jia wiped the blood from her fist on the pimple-faced man's body. They drew their swords first. You should have seen it, right? I saw it. I will report it truthfully, the captain swallowed.